So, any other countries we haven't called on yet? Vietnam? Okay. Vietnam? Vietnam? Okay, right here.
Good afternoon, President Obama. I'm from Vietnam. I would like to ask you about TPP. That is a very great idea to have all other countries in the world. The TPP includes 4 countries in ASEAN countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Brunei, and Vietnam.
Right.
And we expect a lot about the future with TPP. But now, so far, the government hasn't not ratified it. So do we believe that within the remaining term or even the new president, the TPP could be ratified? Otherwise, what shall happen? Thank you.
I believe it will be ratified because it's the right thing to do. You know, we're in a political season now, and it's always difficult to get things done. Congress isn't doing much right now. They're all going home and talking to their constituents, trying to get reelected. So after the election, I think people can refocus attention on why this is so important. But the reason I think it is important is because the United States and the ASEAN countries and the Asia-Pacific region, together, these countries represent 40% of the world's economy. And the problem we are seeing is that at a time when growth is slow around the world, if we don't pass trade agreements that create a level playing field, so businesses and workers are all treated fairly, so that there are environmental standards, just as we discussed, for products that are being sold. If we don't do that, then countries are going to turn inward, and everybody will be poor. So, you know, right now, around the world, there's some people who are resisting trade. And in some ways, that's understandable, because in advanced countries, in wealthier countries, they feel as if the old manufacturing jobs have gone to China and places with cheaper labor and lower environmental standards and lower worker protections. And so even though the United States is still very wealthy, there are places where the factories have closed because they've moved someplace else. And that happened over the course of the last 30 years. And people remember that, and they feel as if trade wasn't good for them. And what I've had to explain is that, first of all, if we do nothing, then we're not going to bring those old jobs back. Those factories will not reopen. But if we now enter into agreements with countries like Vietnam where we have difficulty selling our products, then we can create new businesses, have new customers, and yes, Vietnam may be selling shoes and shirts, but we'll be selling software, and we'll be selling jet engines. And so both countries can grow together. One of the problems we've also seen in terms of trade is that the benefits of trade all too often have gone to the wealthy people who own the companies. A lot of times they haven't gone to the workers. And so what I've said is that as part of TPP, we've asked countries like Vietnam that want to be a part of it to start raising their standards and protections for their workers and allow worker organizations to join together so that they have more of a voice in terms of their wages and their benefits and the safety of the workplace. And in fact, the Vietnamese government has said that it's willing to do that. And if standards in ASEAN countries rise, then they're not going to be competing with U.S. workers just for who can pay workers the least or put them in the most unsafe conditions. Instead, they'll be competing for who's working smartest and has the best products and the best ideas. And that's a competition that all of us will benefit from. So I believe that we'll get it done, but it's always going to be hard. Nothing's easy in the U.S. Congress right now. Maybe there was a time when it was, but I haven't seen it. It sure hasn't been easy since I've been president. All right? But eventually we'll get it done.